My name's Katie Holmgren. I'm the Director of Program Services at USA Hockey. Program Services is the department that really serves to help our local association membership with our growth initiatives, as well as some administrator training in the form of Club Excellence. We provide primarily a lot of growth resources, but also we do some regional trainings. We work in conjunction with our NHL partners on their Learn to Play programs. Kind of all encompassing on youth hockey growth and administrator support. So I'm going to turn it over to Taylor, who's our manager of program services, and she's going to walk us through this. For anybody who may have joined since I mentioned this at the beginning, if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll make sure we get those answered for you. So Taylor, all yours.
Hi, I'm Taylor Gross. I'm the manager of program services. So today we're going to be talking about working with your local college program for growth webinar. And we have Jason White. He goes by Whitey, the head women's hockey coach at Midland University in Fremont, Nebraska. And Garrett Poland, who's the director of hockey for the Fremont Flyers Youth Association, also in Fremont, Nebraska. So wanted to have a conversation today really about grassroots level things, being able to work with your local youth association and utilizing resources available. And Midland has a very unique market. So we'll start off with Jason Whitey, who is the head women's coach, kind of give an overview of Midland University, why it's kind of a weird market and how you got coaching there.
Sounds good. Thank you. Midland University is a private liberal arts school based here in the Midwest. We're about 20 minutes outside of Omaha. And I don't want to veer off track, but obviously, if you're not aware, Omaha is a pretty big hockey town. Back in the day, it had the Omaha Knights. Players like Gordie Howe, Terry Sawchuk, those players were in Omaha, which is pretty cool. So it has some history. And then also with the USHL team, the Omaha Lancers, that's been a big market. And of course, college hockey came to Omaha as well with UNO being in the NCHC. That's obviously a big deal. So we are on the outskirts of Omaha, but hockey has found its way to Fremont, which is pretty exciting. And for us here at Midland, I remember I was running the actual rink at the time, along with Angie Wiley. And, there was talk that we wanted to bring university hockey to the rink. And Midland was looking at starting a women's and a men's program at the ACHA level. And we sat down and we started having discussions. And, before we know it, we were able to put together a men's and women's program. And for me, what we wanted to do right out of the gate was find a way to get that university program to get involved with our youth hockey. Because I remember as a player growing up, you always had, teams that you would go watch or idolize. And for me, I remember Dad used to take me to junior hockey games and I'd get autographs from all the players. And that was a big deal. It was the Ottawa 67s back in the day. I was meeting with guys. I remember Chris Chelios was there watching one of his cousins play. And I got an autograph from Chris Chelios, down where the players were at. And that was a big deal for me. I was 9 or 10 years old or whatever it was. And it was just pretty cool. So anyways, we wanted to create that environment here with our youth program where, these young kids would have someone to idolize when they get out there, someone that has a big impact on their youth hockey experience. So we started to implement a couple programs and it's really taken off.
Thanks, Whitey. And Garrett, can you give a little bit of information on Fremont Flyers and kind of the beginning of that program?
Yeah, so I've been the hockey director here in Fremont for 4 years. This is my 5th year. It's been a great experience so far. When I took over for Whitey 4 years ago, Whitey had really laid a great foundation for me to keep rolling with the program. He put in a lot of really good things with the intro to hockey, getting that going and extending that past just doing it once a year. So our intro to hockey program, we do 5 of those sessions a year. And what we do with that is it allows us to bring more kids into our Might hockey program and just continue to keep growing that. And as Jason said, we use the women's and the men's hockey team at Midland to come over and to skate with those kids in the intro to hockeys and the intro to skatings. And that's been able to grow our program from, having 40 kids to, this year we're almost at the 200 kid mark. And through mites, squirts, peewees, bantams in high school, we have, house, travel, and pretty much everything that you could want for a hockey program all the way up to high school. So as I said, Whitey laid that foundation, and we've just been growing our coaches. And I think we're talked about a little bit before, but this is the first year that we've had players graduate out of our program and come back, and now they're giving back and coaching. So that's kind of what it's all about here in Fremont, with us not being in an NHL market, not having, hundreds of people who've played hockey around here. We need to grow it within and be able to teach not just players, but teach coaches and have them come back and help keep giving back to the game. So as Whitey said, and I said, we started pretty small, but we've been growing and growing every year, and, bringing in the right people and that really care about the program and the community. It's been an awesome experience so far.
Yeah. And I know when we were talking earlier, it's an interesting because Whitey, you have the experience of being able to work within the association and also on the university side. So being able to see both sides of those relationships. So whether Garrett or Whitey, if you want to jump in on here, can you guys explain a little bit, Fremont Flyers, how it started, how you got it off the ground? Obviously you guys are, pretty heavily grassroots program. So if you can give any, information on people watching that, might be some tips or tricks.
Yeah, well, and I'll give you a little bit of background. I remember I just finished coaching at Omaha AAA, and my wife and I were expecting. And it was one of those where my wife was like, okay, now it's time to get a real job. So I remember looking at some selling insurance, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I ended up contacting a guy that I knew, and he's like, hey, why don't you come work out at the rink? Like, you've had experience back home in Canada, running rinks, running the ZAM, that kind of stuff. So I ended up coming out here, and I started looking at the youth program. And my first year that I was here, I really didn't get that involved. I just looked at it and went, oh my God, this is a travesty. We've got maybe 35 kids participating. There was no direction. We had mites playing with like peewees just so they could have games because they didn't have enough numbers, right? And we had peewees that were, squirts that were playing like bantam, where there was like potential contact. So it was crazy to see where we were at. So I remember sitting down and brainstorming with Angie Wiley, who now runs the rink and I think still works with Garrett. But we just discussed, we started looking at USA Hockey, and at that time, USA Hockey had started the 2-and-2 challenge, right? Which was to help grow the program. And it talked about basic grassroots level. How do we get kids involved, right? How do we get them started? And at that time, the 2-and-2 challenge, I think, was fairly new. But we as a program jumped on it right away. It was like a light bulb went on, and I'm like, my God, this makes complete sense, right? Let's get into the community. Let's talk to kids. Let's talk to parents. Let's hand out these flyers that talked about try hockey for free. And we wanted to create a transition program from Try Hockey for Free Day. And we created that transition program. We only did it once. It was called Intro to Hockey. We ran it for 6 weeks. It was a 30-minute session, but we were able to get all the kids in equipment. And for $25, they got a personalized bag, and they were able to keep that bag and use it for 6 weeks straight. And I know this is a terrible analogy to probably use, but, we talk about it. I feel like hockey is like crack cocaine, right? Once you get a kid rolling in hockey, they're hooked, right? And then they're talking to mom and dad and saying, oh my God, I want to go back. I want to play. So we created that transition program and continued to expand it. And, we had maybe 35 kids total. Well, then now our grassroots at the mite level started to really grow. We had 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds all wanting to play hockey from this transition program. So it helped us out immensely and kind of set us on the path. And, we basically went off of USA Hockey's 2-and-2 challenge every year. And we just continued to grow and grow and grow. And now, you've got Garrett running the program, who's done a great job finding these wonderful coaches. We have ex-NHLers right now coaching out in Fremont, which is exciting. Anytime you can get someone like that helping with our youth, I think it's fantastic. But Garrett went out and got more coaches. We implemented ADM style with our MITE programs and our SCORT programs, and that really helped out. And we just continued to grow from there. And now we're sitting with back when we first started, we only had house programs. Now Garrett has house programs from MITES all the way up to high school. We have travel from sports all the way up to high school, and we're a full functioning program. And that was really all based off of following USA Hockey directives, So it was big for us, and we believe in it 100%. Maybe that's why we're here doing this seminar. But we it was proof was in the pudding, and we're very thankful for where we're at now and how we are in the community. I think a lot of great things are happening. So
I'll jump in on 2 and 2 challenge real quick if I can. Taylor, just for any background, the 2 and 2 challenge was basically an initiative that guided associations through different growth initiatives. So the whole premise behind it was you gain 2 and you retain 2 for every year to sustain that growth, like Whitey's talking about. It's now called the Hat Trick Growth Challenge. We sort of revamped it a couple years ago. During COVID, it took a breather for this season, but we hope it'll be back because it's really, like you said, Whitey, we think it's no-brainer stuff. It's stuff you might already be doing, but it kind of helps you guide through that, create your next steps program, create a program pathway. So a new parent knows when they go to your website, what the pathway is for their player through your programming. Simple stuff like parent meetings, but they're good reminders to have engagement with your parents. And then I know you guys were rewarded. We always do rewards with equipment or different monetary rewards for you to purchase items through Pure Hockey. I know that helped you guys quite a bit. That will be back for anybody who's watching. We hope to continue that. We took a breather during COVID for the same reasons that lots of people took breathers with lots of programs and sending things out. But it's always awesome to hear that. And we didn't make you say that. I want to be clear about that. So it's good to hear kind of firsthand how that stuff works. So it's just good proof, especially in a Omaha's got a lot of hockey, but it's sort of a non-traditional market in Fremont. So it's good to know that stuff works, and it's important to hear.
Yeah, so before we go back into the working relationship between Midland and the Flyers, what I do want to ask first, Garrett, is I know we discussed earlier equipment drives, things like that you guys utilize, different grants that you have. So just for now, programs that are looking to, increase, players in numbers, but might need some creative ideas. Do you mind talking about your experience with that?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I'll say, look around your hockey program. I guarantee you there's some really smart people, smart parents in your hockey program that want to give back and want to help. And I would start there, ask them for, help and, what do you guys suggest? But what we've done here is 2 years ago, we started a gear drive. We weren't able to do it this year with the COVID, but we put all of our equipment out. We have tons of shin pads, elbow pads, everything a kid would need. And it's basically, if you need any hockey equipment, drop a piece of hockey equipment off and take a piece of hockey equipment. And what we've noticed the year that we did it is we had more donations than anything. So we had people just dropping off hockey bags, dropping off sticks. So we really reloaded with that one gear drive we did. We went through all of it, sanitized all our equipment. So just as you guys know, the equipment's a very expensive piece of the puzzle to get started, right? So if we can eliminate that cost right out of the bat, all the equipment, we still have kids that have been in our program for 5 years and they've never bought equipment because they'll just, as soon as the shin pad's too small, they just say, hey, coach, I need bigger shin pads. Go up to our little stores place we built and grab them a new pair of shin pads. So it's very unique, I think, and it's an awesome opportunity for, like I said, to keep those costs low. A couple other things that we've done around here are, little fundraiser drives that, some teams will do to help keep the cost low for that particular team, such as selling, car stickers or koozies or things like that. But also about 3 years ago, we bought a claw machine for our lobby, and that's been generating some pretty good money that we're able to put back into our scholarship programs. And that buys, water bottles, pucks, boards. It helps with a kid if he needs help with a scholarship. So things like that. And then what was it, Whitey? About 5 years ago, we did a giant fundraiser drive where we started a scholarship foundation here at the Fremont Youth Hockey Association. So we do have a scholarship foundation within our program where we're able to give back and help kids that really need it. And it didn't happen in 1 year, it didn't happen in 2 years. It's something that takes time, and you have to keep building. And like I said, if you find the right people in your program that are willing to help and willing to work, people have good ideas and they want to give back. So just starting things like that will definitely help.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I noticed when I was in Fremont was the community aspect of it. So your relationship, the Flyers' relationship with the YMCA, the YMCA's relationship with Midland. The YMCA, is your rink is in the YMCA, correct?
It is.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I got that right. So I guess just to jump into the relationship between the two programs, obviously playing out of the same rink, it seems like it should be a natural thing. I wasn't there right when the program started, but I think both of you guys were. Can you explain a little bit about how that relationship started and where it's gotten now?
Yeah, for me, when I made the transition over, it was the first thing that I wanted to do. And I think before even I made the transition, I think we had some players coming over at times. We were trying to encourage them to get out. But once I was able to actually be in charge of a team, that's when we really activated things. And what I do is, or what I tried to implement really was, again, I think it's so crucial. We all have, I think, in an experience as hockey players, we all have that special moment of someone who really kind of changed your outlook on hockey and really made you love the game. And, it's those people, it might have been a family member, it might have been a coach, it might have been a volunteer. But I think the great thing about hockey is how people give back to the sport. And I think that's one of the most unique things with hockey is people that have those experiences just want to find a way to give back. And for my girls, I talked to them about how important it is to give back to the sport. And I said, this is what we're going to do. Every Monday night, we're going to split our team up into two groups. And our girls on Monday nights, there's 10 of them that work with our Intro to Hockey, which is our transition program, right, into Fremont Flyers. And then we have our other girls that work with the MITE program. And then that way it kind of takes the workload off of Garrett a bit, right, because you're trying to get as many qualified coaches as you can out from MITES because it's a lot, right? It's like herding cats at times. But you're trying to run an ADM style practice where you have 6 stations. You want to make sure that you've got coaches out there that can teach the correct things or guide them the right way. You just don't want to be sending these kids through repetition and they're not learning, or they're doing it the wrong way. So our girls started jumping out with Garrett and the group out there from MITES, and I think it's just helped a lot with the youth program. So for us, it's something that we've now created. It's a tradition. So the girls know, even when I'm recruiting girls, I talk about, hey, do you do anything with your local youth sports, being that you're in high school on the hockey team? Do you guys give back? And I said, well, if you are, then great. This is what we do here. And this is something that, I actually make mandatory for our girls. And piggybacking off of that, then our men's program, Garrett and Angie started, another transition program. Really, we had the Intro to Hockey, but then they added a Learn to Skate. And now our men's team is actually going out and working with these young kids in a Learn to Skate atmosphere, which is great. And I got to see our men's program working with these kids, and God forbid, most of them haven't been on skates before. So you're literally carrying these young little kids around, trying to help them out. But our men's program did an absolutely amazing job. And it was just so fun to see our collegiate group interacting with these young kids. And I think it's creating memories for these kids. And it also gets them really hooked on the sport of hockey, whether they play or don't. They're coming out now to watch the Midland Warriors play hockey, right? And for
I was
us,
gonna say, is that that translates to
It
me in my
does.
mind, right? Like it's a no-brainer.
it is.
I'll coach, like I coach high school. I like when our boys go help with like the try hockey days, the intro to hockey stuff. It's important, like you said earlier. Somebody else created that memory for you, so you want to
Yes.
stress that importance. But then, does it create some fandom and growth for you
does.
guys on the college level?
That was the best part. I remember when I took this job over, all of the girls came to me and they're like, Coach, we don't get anyone to show up to our games. We barely have anyone. It's just our parents. And the men would seem to get more, right? Now they played a little bit later at night. And I remember sitting down and telling the girls, look, this is one of the reasons we're doing this. You know, it's a little bit of give and take, but I said, you're creating relationships within the community. You know, this little player, girl, male, whoever that you're teaching is now going, oh my God, I idolize Coach. I want to go watch them play. They play hockey. So now that little kid is now telling mom and dad, hey, they play tomorrow night can we go watch? And they keep hounding them. And eventually mom and dad's like, all right, let's go. But it got people in the stands. And now our women's program, obviously with COVID this year, it's been tough. But, you know, over the last couple of years, our fan base has really grown on both sides, men and women, which is great.
So to me, again, that's a no-brainer, right?
You
You
see a
go
lot
help.
You see a lot of the Midland people or a lot of the Fremont families wearing Midland hats and Midland shirts. Kind of goes hand in hand, both sides. So it's really, really cool to see the integration.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen, if I can ask this real quick, sorry, Taylor, I don't want to interrupt. It just came to mind. So have you guys seen since you got your college programs involved in all of those, have you seen the youth numbers grow as well?
Yeah.
Like there's been a pause. Okay.
Yeah.
I figured as much, but if you want to talk about that, that would be.
Yeah, definitely. Since Whitey's girls and the men's team has well been coming out. I think it's their help for sure has helped spur growth, but also the inclusion of adding more intro to hockeys and the intro to skating. So the kids that are really enjoying our intro to hockey program, we say, well, on Thursdays you should come do the intro to skating, and now they're on the ice another 30 minutes, and they get to meet player on the guys team, and now they got a favorite player on the girls team and a favorite player on the guys team. So we see it both ways, and then we'll tell some kids that are in the intro to skating that are loving it, well, hey, come to our intro to hockey. And it's just really cool to see all the girls out there for the intro to hockey. This session, we have about 42 kids in it, and having all the girls out there and all the coaches, a lot of the kids really get one-on-one time out there on the ice. So they love it. And we've seen that retention rate from our intro to hockey with kids moving into our mites. I'd have to say it's about 25% of those kids that do the intro to hockey are going to end up in our mite hockey program. So
That's awesome.
It's awesome to see. We definitely have seen the growth with the help of Midland for sure.
What I will say is, I think the sense of community that it's built has just been exceptional. I know when I flew out there, I was like, oh, Fremont, Nebraska, don't really know what I'm getting into. And I was shocked at how awesome, the rink ran, the youth hockey programs ran, and how both worked together. And that was something that just caught my eye from the very beginning. But one question I do want to ask, and either of you guys could hop on or could jump on this, or if you both want to answer. So what advice would you have for youth programs who want to work with their local college team? How would you get started doing that?
Whitey, you want this one, buddy?
Well, I think we can both chime in. I like the transition for myself was easy, right? I didn't have to chase down coaches, right? I was a coach and I wanted to implement it, and I wanted our girls to get involved. But I think it's important that whoever's maybe the head of the program is find a way to sit down with the coaches, have some conversations and say, look, we want to try to expand things and we really want to get you guys involved. I think sometimes asking for some help, coming up with some ideas. Most hockey people, I should say probably the majority, are willing to help, right? So whoever's in charge of the college program or the university program most likely is going to say yes. I'd be hard fought to think that they would say no, right? I mean, if someone came and approached me, it would have been yes in a heartbeat. So I think just asking, I think is really important, and sharing some ideas, and that might get the coach from the university program really excited and say, yeah, let's give this a shot and see where it goes.
Especially if you can say we'll get some fans in your stands.
Yes,
Help us.
exactly right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, have you guys done any like post game like skates after games and stuff with kids?
We did. So one year we actually did like a raffle where we had a bunch of pucks. We did some sticks. The girls autographed. We had autograph sheets. So after our final game, I think it was 2 years ago, after our final game, all the kids could come out on the ice and skate with their players, get autographs. The girls probably did it for about 30 or 40 minutes, and the kids had an absolute blast. They got to take, Midland Warrior pucks home. Some of them got a stick. So it was a big deal, and it was just something that, to be honest, obviously with COVID, but it was 2 years ago. I don't think I did it last year, and I think we need to bring it back. That was a good reminder. Thank you, Taylor.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Katie, are there any questions that came through?
Nope, we don't have any questions. So to reiterate that, because I want to make sure that's an important piece, is I think so often, I know there's lots of areas where their youth associations work with their college programs, be it ACHA or NCAA, but there's also I think there's some of that barriers to ask, right? Like, well, we're separate organizations, or, maybe the college sends out stuff to the school to get kids in the stands. But I think what I would say here is really encourage, open that line of communication. If you don't already have it, ask for players to help. Because I think for all of us, you guys talked about, and Garrett talked about how many coaches you have, and how now there's people who played who are coming back and they're helping in local associations. But that's really the growth of hockey, right? So there's lots of different pieces here. So you get those college players at the intro to hockey and the try hockey for freeze, and they want to come back and keep doing it. And then all of a sudden they have favorite college players. But getting your college players involved means they want to give back too. They've already started it, right? I know all of us here coach. And so for me, I wanted to give back, right? I love it. But I think that's not always a natural fit. I hate to say this, but sometimes more on the women's side, you have to ask more. But if you get those college players started in college already helping with those things, it's just part of that whole hockey ecosystem that we all have, and we're all hockey people. So I think, to reiterate what Whitey said, just ask.
Yeah.
I do think it's also important to say, hey, we have some ideas. So here's the programs we have. We have Try Hockey. We have Intro to Hockey. We'd really love to have some of your college players on the ice to help, so that they could help us, because they're college players. They know what they're doing, and also interact with these kids, kind of develop that fan base for you. So I think should be an easy ask. I think, like you said, hockey people want to give back to hockey people.
I think it's a win-win for everyone. You can't go wrong, right?
Yeah.
And I think too, with the girls, working in, Learn to Play is working with the ADM as a college player. If they go home, they're like, okay, now I already have experience coaching. Whereas most of the time, when I got out of college, I was like, I'm going to go coach, but I've never done it before.
Don't know where to start.
So it kind of already gives them a head start and a jump, being able to do that. So that's just another thing I think that's really important.
Yeah. So, and for some background for anybody watching as we wrap this up, Taylor did coach at Midland for a while as well. That's where the relationship came from.
It's my old office.
Is this your old office? No, this was a storage room. I had to tear everything down and
so maybe it was your office. I should know. Maybe I should downgrade it.
Probably was. Tuck me away in the corner.
I know, Whitey, your accent gives you away a little bit, but we thank you guys, you and Garrett, for all the work you guys do. I know you're all USA Hockey all the way, talking about the importance of our growth programs. Yep, love the hat. I would guess that you got that maybe from when I worked in the adult department, which is when I met Whitey and watched him get kicked out of a game too. So little background here. It's good to have you guys on. Good to talk to you. And thanks for everything you're doing. I don't see any questions coming through. If anybody has any, you can always find us via email at programservices@usahockey.org, or on our website under Program Services. You can find Taylor and I. If you have questions, I hate to offer this up, but I'm sure Whitey and Garrett would be happy to share more information on the programs that they do and how they got started. So thanks, guys, so much. Again, thanks everybody that hopped on. And we look forward to working with you guys in person when we can get through all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
thanks for having us.